Good morning. On Tuesday morning, we're going to read Colossians 3:18 through 4:1. Wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children lest they become discouraged. Bondservants, obey in everything those who are your earthly masters, not by way of eye service as people pleasers, but with sincerity of heart, fearing the Lord. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive your inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. For the wrongdoer will be paid back for the wrong he has done, and there is no partiality. Masters, treat your bondservants justly and fairly, knowing that you also have a master in heaven. So what we see here are some parallels. And Paul is trying to get the people who are in the church in Colossus to, to love each other properly and to obey. And he can't just say, well, love each other, because there'll be all these hierarchical structures. Husbands and wives, fathers and children, masters and slaves. And it sounds like they're parallel in his mind, and perhaps they are. Some places Paul sounds like a real feminist, but other places he sounds like one of the people of his time. And this is one of those places. I think he realizes that nothing that he says is going to change the society as a whole. And so all he can do is hope to change individuals here and there. And some people will get it and some won't. And so he says things like, treat each other fairly and justly, and because there's no slave or free, there's no man or woman, there's no Greek or Jew, there's just all one. We're all one. Well, he says that sort of thing, but other places he says, well, okay, but until you get there, wives, listen to your husbands. Husbands, love your wives. I think in Ephesians or somewhere he says, love your wives the way Christ loves the church, which is very difficult and tremendous piece of advice. But he says, husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. So if husbands listen to that, there'd be a lot of change in our society, because we live in a society that has inherited from, the ancient world, this system where wives were subservient to husbands and were supposed to do whatever their husbands told them to do. And so until fairly recently, women couldn't get a job or have a credit card or buy a car or anything else without a man signing for it, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it, but that's the way it was. Children, obey your parents. Fathers, don't provoke your children to anger. Don't make them mad. Don't be harsh and cruel to your children. So both of those, you see, it's not simply the children that we're talking to, but to the fathers as well. And then he has quite a bit to say to the slaves. Obey your earthly masters, because, whatever you're doing as though you're doing it for Jesus and not just for these people. And masters, treat your servants fairly, because you also have a master in heaven. So you don't want to be treated. You want to treat your slaves, your children, your wives the way you want Jesus to treat you, or other people to treat you. You see, the golden rule really fits in here. Well, we live in a very different society. It's not nearly as hierarchical as this one was, for the most part. There are places here and there where you still have people that are thinking in that old paradigm. But for the most part, it's different now. So what does it mean? I think it kind of gets to some mutuality, mutual respect. You both respect the other and love the other, And, when you make a plan, for instance, years ago, I asked this couple, they were getting ready to get married. I didn't really know them well. And I said, well, tell me, are you saving money? Oh, yeah, we're saving money. They said, yeah, we're saving a lot of money. I said, that's good. What are you saving it for? And I expected them to say, so we could buy a house. But at the same moment, she said a microwave. Now, this was back when microwaves weren't free. They cost like $400 or $500. She said a microwave, and he said a motorcycle. And they looked at each other, and they looked back at me, and I said, either one of those is fine purchase, and I don't care which thing you save for, but you guys need to talk it out and make a decision as to what you're saving toward, and come back next week. And they did, and they came back, and they had made a plan, and we were able to talk through how they communicated, because it's not what you're saving for that matters. It's, do you have a plan that you both agree on? And that's true in every part of life. If you agree on things and can work together, you're going to make it. End of marriage counseling. And I hope that you have a great Tuesday, and I hope that all goes well for you, and we will see you tomorrow morning.